The air was thick with humidity, but it wasn't the heat that made breathing difficult. It was fear. 12-year-old Tracy Park crouched beneath the low-hanging ferns at the edge of the Guyanese jungle, her chest heaving, her bare arms smeared with dirt and sweat. The voice of her father, Gerald Park, echoed in her ears, urgent, trembling, final. "Run, Tracy. Run and don't look back. Stay hidden until it's safe." It was November 18, 1978. Tracy had heard rumors, whispers of poison, of a final revolutionary act. But she couldn't understand how it could happen in Jonestown, the place that had promised paradise. Just hours ago, she had been watching her mother brush her long hair inside the family's modest cottage near the central pavilion. Her mother, Donna, had joined the People's Temple with her husband years earlier, swept away by Jim Jones' charisma. They had moved across the ocean to Guyana, hoping for a utopian life. What they found was something far darker. And now it was about to end. Tracy didn't know the details, but her instincts screamed that something horrible was coming. She had seen people whispering, eyes darting to the woods. The armed guards seemed more aggressive. And worst of all, her father was crying. Gerald never cried. He held her face, kissed her forehead, and told her to run into the jungle, to hide until she couldn't hear the drums anymore. Then he turned away. That was the last time she ever saw him. Jim Jones' voice had been unusually tense over the loudspeakers. "Comrades," he began, "we have been betrayed." Congressman Leo Ryan had come to investigate the settlement the day before, and he was leaving with defectors. It was the ultimate betrayal in Jones' mind, proof that someone had broken faith. The air was electric with fear and devotion, an uneasy blend of worship and dread. Tracy had been playing with a younger child when the truck pulled away carrying the congressman and a group of defectors. But within an hour, word spread. People had been shot at the airstrip. Someone said Congressman Ryan was dead. Others said a cameraman had filmed everything and was gunned down too. Panic rippled through Jonestown, but no one dared speak openly. And then came the final gathering. "Everyone to the pavilion," the speakers boomed. Tracy's parents held her hands tighter than they ever had before. They walked in silence, joined by hundreds of others. Mothers carrying babies, old men with canes, children too young to understand what was happening. She clung to her parents, watching as guards closed in behind them. At the pavilion, giant barrels of purple flavor aid were being prepared. Jones stood at the podium, his sunglasses hiding any flicker of doubt or humanity. "It's a revolutionary suicide," he announced. "We won't let them take us." The mood was surreal. Some cried, some stood like statues. A woman screamed. A mother begged Jones to let her child live. But the guards were armed. There was no way out. Tracy was trembling when her father pulled her aside. "Go," he whispered into her ear. "Now." She blinked, confused. "But what about you?" Her mother was already crying. "We love you. You have to live. For all of us." Before the guards could notice, Gerald shoved her into the jungle and pointed. Tracy ran. Tracy kept running until her lungs burned and her legs buckled. She had no idea where she was going, only that she had to stay hidden. The jungle was unforgiving, full of screeching insects and tangled vines. But the sounds from the camp behind her were worse. She heard crying, then shouting, then the eerie silence. The drums stopped. Night fell like a curtain. Wrapped in darkness, Tracy found a patch of ground beneath a massive tree. She curled into herself, arms around her knees, listening for the soldiers she knew would be looking for survivors. Gunmen. Helicopters. She thought about her mother's face, the warmth of her hand. "I'll come back for you," she whispered into the night. 3 days later, the first American military helicopters descended on Jonestown. The pilots had no idea what to expect. But what they found stunned them into silence. Bodies. Piles and piles of bodies. Children, women, men, stacked like discarded toys across the pavilion. Many clutched one another. Others lay alone, mouths stained purple, eyes glassy. There were 918 dead, including Jim Jones himself, killed not by poison but a bullet to the head. The largest mass suicide in American history. Weak, starving, and covered in insect bites, she had lost all sense of time. Her voice was barely a whisper, but she was alive. "Child!" the soldier called. "Is someone here?" Tracy emerged from the trees, barefoot and trembling, her eyes hollow. When they carried her to the medical tent, the Americans were in disbelief. She was the only known child survivor to escape Jonestown on foot. Her story made headlines around the world. But Tracy refused to speak much at first. Not about Jim Jones. Not about what she saw. She simply asked, "Did they make it?" No one could bring themselves to answer. Tracy was sent back to the US and placed with extended relatives she barely knew. Her nights were filled with nightmares. Jones' voice on the loudspeakers, her mother's tears, the sound of guards shouting. She grew up a shadow of the girl who had once played in the Jonestown fields. Reporters hounded her for interviews. Some tabloids accused her parents of being willing cultists. Others called her the girl who got away. None knew the real Tracy. The truth was, she lived every day with a survivor's guilt that never left. Jim Jones never faced justice. His death by gunshot was either self-inflicted or ordered by a trusted aide. But for Tracy, justice meant telling the world the truth. At age 18, she gave her first and only full interview to a major documentary filmmaker. In it, she described the moment her father told her to run. How her mother clutched her hand one last time. How the jungle felt like a graveyard. But she also described something else. Hope. "If my dad hadn't acted in that moment, I'd be gone too," she said. "He chose to save me. And because of that, I'm here to speak." Her testimony helped create new federal oversight on cult activity and inspired legislation to monitor high-control groups within the U.S. religious landscape. University ethics classes began to study Jonestown. And Tracy's story became part of the curriculum in some high schools across the country. In 2008, on the 30th anniversary of the massacre, Tracy returned to Guyana for the first time. She placed a single white lily in the clearing where the pavilion once stood. The jungle had reclaimed the land, but in the silence, she said she could still hear her father's voice. "Run, Tracy, and live." Today, Tracy Park lives a quiet life as a counselor in Northern California. She works with children who've experienced trauma, especially those impacted by cults or religious coercion. She rarely speaks about Jonestown in public. But in her office there's a small photograph. It shows a 12-year-old girl with tangled hair, standing at the edge of a jungle. If you found this chilling story compelling, subscribe to our channel for more true crime documentaries and dramatic real-life investigations. Turn on notifications so you never miss an upload.